Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I would like to share this part about death with you because every while we have someone who's very close to our hearts die, and sometimes we hear people say stuff about fearing death. So I would like to share with you this part from my book about the death and afterlife, and please give me a feedback about what you think about that.
Fear of death in the Quran. What does the Quran say? Fear of death. The Quran teaches Muslims not to fear death in a way that makes them lazy about their duties. In this respect, death is presented as a punishment as well as a lesson to those who have weak belief. The Quran informs us about some people who left their homes in the thousands out of fear of death. It is said they were fleeing the plague, or fearing death at the hands of their enemies. Allah made them die, and then He resurrected them in order to give them a lesson about Allah's destiny and power. Allah the Almighty says, "Have you not considered those who left their homes in many thousands, fearing death? Allah said to them, 'Die,' then He restored them to life." A similar fear of death is presented elsewhere, as the disbelievers are afraid of death, or it is like a rainstorm from the sky within which is darkness, thunder and lightning. They put their fingers in their ears against the thunderclaps in dread of death. But Allah is encompassing of the disbelievers. Fear of death should not cause people to refrain from achieving their noble aims, because ultimately every human will die. O you who have believed, do not be like those who disbelieved and said about their brothers when they traveled through the land or went out to fight, "If they had been with us, they would not have died or been killed." So Allah makes that misconception a regret within their hearts. And it is Allah who gives life and causes death, and Allah is seeing of what you do. If no one can prevent death, then humans should be brave and discard this passive fear of death. Those who said about their brothers while sitting at home, "If they had obeyed us, they would not have been killed." Say, then prevent death from yourselves, if you should be truthful. No one can escape death, no matter how fortified he is or where he might hide. Wherever you may be, death will overtake you, even if you should be within towers of lofty construction. Such fleeing is not even worthwhile, as death will ultimately find you. Say, "O Muhammad, never will fleeing benefit you if you should flee from death or killing, and then, if you did, you would not be given enjoyment of life except for a little." Generally speaking, fear of death is mainly a result of ignorance of death and the afterlife, as explained by Ibn Sina of Avicenna in his book, Ash-Shifa. Other authors mentioned more reasons that might cause a fear of death, such as fearing the punishment of the grave or hellfire, fearing the pain of death, or fearing to depart and leave the company of relatives and loved ones. After all, death is an affliction and a hardship. If you are traveling through the land and the disaster of death should strike you, this is a unique verse that depicts death as hardship or affliction that befalls the person who is dying and is possibly viewed the same in the eyes of his relatives and friends also, according to the